The Abbesses Way begins at the magnificent Wenlock Priory, once a great pilgrimage site of 8th century Abbess St Milburga's relics. After the Priory, the route ascends the poetry-inspiring ridge of Wenlock Edge. Revel in the rolling Shropshire landscape, especially at the well-positioned Kenley Church, before descending to Langley Chapel and Acton Burnell, with its church right next to a castle built by a bishop. Then by field and road to St Etta's Church, Atcham, and its adjacent rest stop, the Mitten and Mermaid, before the final approach via the River Severn and Rebrook to Shrewsbury Abbey, where a small shrine to the 7th century Abbess St Winifred still survives. St Milburga was both a powerful princess and a devout abbess, roles she managed to hold down simultaneously. By the time of her death in about 725, her lands were as extensive as her reputation for miracles. The site of her former shrine is just a patch of plain grass in the middle of Wenlock Priory, but the impressive ruins are a testament to the ongoing miracles recorded at her tomb, cut off by the dissolution in 1540. The shrine was at the east end of the ruined chancel, but there was no trace of a structure here amid the neatly mown lawns. The same fate has also befallen the remains of her Saxon building, though archaeologists have found its foundations a few metres from the shrine's location, in the centre of the ruined church. St Milburga's father built the first monastery here in 680, and she became its second abbess in 687. It was a double monastery, a community of both men and women living in separate accommodation. For some reason, all these early double monasteries had a woman in charge of both monks and nuns. The male quarters were on the site of the priory, while the nunnery was probably situated where the town's parish church stands. St Milburga clearly made a success of her time as abbess. Shortly before her death, she dictated a will listing the extensive holding of land the abbey had gathered under her control. She was also famous as a miracle worker, bringing a dead boy back to life, and rather poetically hanging her veil on a sunbeam. She is often depicted with a goose, since she successfully ordered a flock of the birds to stop stealing her crops. Her first shrine was later lost, perhaps destroyed during Viking raids, but Much Wenlock remained a holy place. St Milburga's church was rebuilt as a minster in 1040 by Earl Leofric. He was husband of another famously independent Saxon woman, Lady Godiva. The pair of them spent a fortune founding and reviving English churches and monasteries. Once again, there is nothing visible of this second Saxon building. Everything you can see on this site dates from the 13th century and later. The ruins of Much Wenlock's third great religious foundation, the Cluniac Monastery. The extent of this huge building is largely due to the miraculous rediscovery of her relics in 1101. Two boys were playing in the ruins of a church, probably the nunnery buildings where the parish church now stands. The ground suddenly gave way and they fell into a pit containing the saints' bones. When they were cleaned, the water used for cleaning them effected a miracle cure, and so they were placed in a shrine at the centre of the Cluniac Monastery. Though the shrine is gone, you can admire other unusual features of this once mighty community. A huge lavabo or circular washing basin survives in the ruins of the cloister, with replicas of its finely detailed carvings. I just had a bit of a climb up out of Much Wenlock, but I'm now in this beautiful wood. Lovely. It is a busy road as well. It's what we used to call Harley Bank. It used to take us by bus up to school to Much Wenlock. Thought I was going to have to get straight across then. Well, as you can see, it's not quite so busy today. It is a Monday, so right. What does this say? I'm going this way. There are no actual markers yet for the Abbesses Way. This is a public footpath, so I presume I'm going this way. Right, so there's a good example of why it's used to check the route. Just check my map on my phone, and now I have to go up this drive past the Edge Outdoor Activity Centre. So yeah, it's always good to double check. Right, so this is where I need to have confidence in my route on my GPS. There are no signpost signs or way markers, and the route is telling me I need to go across this field, which is where they do the quad biking for the outdoor activity centre. So my GPS is definitely telling me that this is the route across here, and there's a footpath, so I'm going to go across, see what I find at the other end, and if I get shouted at, I get shouted at. So we're out onto Wenlock Edge now, well, the start of it, and it came to a bit of a crossroads. There was 4 different paths, and it was a bit hard to judge which one I was supposed to be going on, so I started going down like a main path, but no, that wasn't the right way. No, it's this tiny little barely path down here. So these Abbesses knew which most difficult, complicated routes to take, didn't they? This isn't even a path, it looks like something that's been made by a stream. I feel like I'm in Jurassic Park. There's going to be a velociraptor around the corner. Well, that was a bit of a hard slog coming down there. It was quite steep, and there was lots of like big stones on the floor, so you really had to watch your footing, so I didn't do much filming coming down there. But I'm now on Wenlock Edge. We'll be turning off here soon and heading towards the little village of Kenley. So it was nice, I just met a lad and a girl. They were a bit lost, so it turns out that they're doing the Abbesses Way today as well, and we couldn't make out which way we were supposed to go, but we collectively thought we had to go through this field. There was no way markers and it was the right way, so I've left them behind now. They seem to be alright. But yeah, that was a bit of a coincidence. St John the Baptist in Kenley is a medieval church and was restored in 1854 to serve a scattered rural community. Its nave and chancel are in one, with a south porch with round arched doorway and a low western tower, which probably dates from the 12th century. Its fine chancel roof has collar beams on arch braces, and above the collar beams strutting forming quatrefoils. It also has a fine Jacobean pulpit with tester and reader's desk. Some fantastic views from Kenley Church, so you can see over in the distance, I think it's the Lawley in Caradoc and the Stretton Hills. Fantastic views. So I'm just leaving Kenley Church now, just had a nice sit down and a coffee looking across one of my favourite views. So we're heading out of Kenley now, and we're going to be heading, hopefully, pretty much downhill now to Acton Burnell. Right, so I've come to a bit where I'm going to have to make a detour. As you can see, there's a stile here, and the route says that I should go round past the side of the house somewhere and then carry on through a field, but there's no way through. It's all barbed wire fence. So I've just had a look on my map, and if I carry on down this road and then turn off, I should join on to where I should be. So that's what I'm going to have to do. I was pre-warned about this route that it's a bit sketchy in places, so that needs sorting out. Right, so a bit more road walking, unfortunately. Some boys here. Glad there's a gate between us. Oh, hello. You're brave, are you? Right, so I've done some road walking and I've just come to the place where I should have come out, but as you can see it's gated off, so I would have had to climb over those. So it does look like that footpath across the fields has been blocked off, but yeah, I did some road walking. So I would have come out here and onto this road that I'm carrying on down. So I don't know how much of a detour, or if it's added anything on or taken anything off, but we'll see. We're back, we're on course now, which is the good thing. So we just walked through the little hamlet of Langley, which is pretty much a farm really, and now we're coming up to Langley Chapel, which is one of my favourite little places in Shropshire. It's absolutely, well, different. We'll go and have a look inside. The Burnells of nearby Acton Burnell were lords of the manor of Langley, and in 1313 Richard Burnell obtained permission to build a chapel here. The structure of the present building dates from this time. In 1377, the manor of Langley passed to the Lee family, who fitted out the chapel in about 1546. In 1591, Sir Humphrey Lee moved to Langley. He was probably responsible for re-roofing the chapel in 1601, a date given on the nave roof, and refurnishing it a few years later. By 1700, the chapel had largely fallen out of use, and thus escaped any attempt to reorder the interior according to the more elaborate high church model favoured in the 19th century. The last regular service was held here in 1871. Langley Chapel has a simple rectangular plan. It is built of dressed grey sandstone with a stone tile roof and has a small weatherboard bell tower at the west end. On the exterior, the south wall has two Tudor doorways with flat arches and nail-studded doors. Characteristically, Tudor decoration of roses and fleur-de-lis appears on the plaster frieze between the roof and south wall, although the corresponding frieze opposite has been lost. Glazed and decorated medieval tiles have been reused on the chancel floor. It is the set of early 17th century church fittings that makes Langley significant. The focus of worship in medieval churches was a raised stone altar set against the east wall. The central celebration was the sacrifice of the Mass at the altar by a robed priest speaking in Latin. After the Reformation, however, the emphasis changed to preaching and reading the scriptures in English. Pulpits loomed large, sometimes literally, though at Langley the pulpit was relatively small and movable. The reading desk on the north side, however, is large, with seats inside and unusually a roof. With the replacement in the Church of England of the Catholic Mass by the Protestant communion service, a simple communion table replaced a stone altar. The original communion table at Langley was stolen. The present one is a copy. Seats were arranged around the table, appropriate for people sharing a meal, as at the Last Supper. The manner of receiving the bread and wine at communion was a matter of theological dispute. At Langley, the furnishings allowed communicants to choose. Puritans could sit, while those who wished to could kneel. The fittings of the chapel were designed to cater for social as well as theological gradations. The largest of the ornate box pews, intended for the Lee family, were placed at the front. Behind these were smaller box pews for farmers and tradespeople, while servants and labourers sat on benches at the back. At the west end is a raised desk for musicians. So since leaving Kenley Church with the diversion that I had to do, it's been all road walking, which is alright because you can do a decent pace, but my feet are stinging a bit now. So not far from Acton Burnell, the castle and the church. So that's going to be my stopping point for today. So I've probably got about a mile to go, and yeah, it's been tough going, it really has. Right, so I made it at Acton Burnell Castle, and this is where my walk ends for today. Part 2 will be coming soon.